great year for tag teams. Another thing, folks, just to give you a heads up on going through our list, this year, keep in mind that AEW only ran half of the year, and a lot of their wrestlers were contracted from the beginning, so a lot of the AEW main event guys did great, but they didn't get a chance to wrestle most of the year, so it's hard for us to give them a lot of shout-outs. Not saying we have no AEW
more
love.
In the AEW awards for 2020.
Yeah, it was just, this is their startup year, and they started up halfway through the year, so it's hard to give them too much. There's a lot of awards that we fought back and forth on, and it's just like, God. So we want to throw that out there, but definitely, I like LAX as a pick. We're Freebird ruling them. The whole LAX.
It's a great thing. And then we've got your award for Best Promotion.
This was a difficult one.
It was. But in the end, it was just logical. It fits, and it's so right. Because consistency is key. And I think there's only one company this year that has consistently entertained the both of us.
I would agree.
Is Impact Wrestling. Holy shit. Holy shit. Impact Wrestling just won a Beefy in 2020.
Isn't that just fucking wild? Especially considering everybody knows how much of MLW's dick we suck. And we do, for good reason. They got a tasty dick.
Yes, they do.
But they were up and down this year. Up and down.
Mm-hmm.
This was their sophomore year, and it felt like their sophomore year.
But this was like, I feel like this year, you could say Impact is finally aged and is in its prime.
I think so. I think the behind-the-scenes changes definitely made a huge difference with Don Callis and Scott D'Amore, them getting their own TV station now with their parent company owning Access TV.
Yeah, these guys were making all the smart moves this year. Like the stuff that nobody really cares about, but it's a huge thing in your long term. And see you.
They're smart with their wrestlers. Not only did we mention LAX, and we actually mentioned, or at least I mentioned Tessa and Sami Callihan, which are two of the biggest names in non-WWE right now, but they had people like Brian Cage and Taya Valkyrie and Johnny Impact, Johnny Mundo, Johnny whoever you want to call him, Joey Ryan. They've
Rhino.
gotten the who's who.
Rob Van Dam.
Rhino. Yeah. They've had the who's who of not only the people are huge now, and not only the up and comers, because you think about it, I'm spacing out on his name, Pasty. NWA guy who's awesome, who came up in Impact. Why am I spacing out on his name?
Nick?
What? No, not Nick Aldis. Although Nick Aldis did start in Impact, but definitely not this year.
James Storm.
Gosh, yeah. That's not who we're going. Anyways, I'll look it up in a second. Anyways, for
Austin
sure,
Aries.
They had all the
they got a lot of Impact guys on NWA,
and they have the veterans that you want for sure. You could make an argument for NXT, although NXT really isn't its own promotion, so it's hard to pick them. And you said it best, I think, earlier, Pasty. You said they're too consistent, and that's almost a downfall.
It's their worst enemy.
It's sad but true. When you're that good that many times, it's hard to stand out when you're that good.
Yeah, you can just count on it to be good, so then it's never really great because it's always just good. Like the best kind of good. But
yeah, their good is great for everybody else.
Yeah.
But compared to themselves, it's just good.
Uh-huh. So yes, Impact is your best promotion, but Fat Mac, what is the worst promotion of the year?
This one, This one wasn't difficult. WWE is always going to be in the running for this one, and WWE is always going to be the biggest money maker and biggest move makers, so it's hard to give it to them. You can, and we will. Oh, we will. But with everybody making such huge moves, as we talked about, NWA got brand new programming, AEW got 2 brand new shows, Impact's doing so well, New Japan's moving on. You know, the only one who kind of, I don't even know that they went down, but they're literally just treading water while everybody else is raising higher. So they're sinking by default. The water's raising, but they're not moving up at all. They're staying where they are. So they're sinking by default.
Like the Greek guys.
That has to be Ring of Honor. It's Ring of Honor. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm not
as
sorry.
much as I hate to say it, because I love Ring of Honor. I love their history.
It's so weird. It's so weird because up until this year, Impact was in this boat, and Ring of Honor was like the unflappable indie promotion.
Right.
Like, they were always well off, and then this year, it's like. Not even that much changed for Ring of Honor. No. And there's next to nothing left in that company.
No, and don't get me wrong. Ring of Honor does this. They have ebbs and flows, and they fall behind and they come back up. And I'm not worried, and I'm not saying right now I'm worried about Ring of Honor going anywhere or falling out at all. Basically, I was thinking of Eli Drake is who I was thinking of.
There you go. Okay, that was the next one I was going to say, but it sounded like you were getting sick of me saying Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think Ring of Honor is going anywhere. I don't think that's happening. I think they're here and they're going to stay here, whether they're number 2, number 1, number 4, number 27. I think they're always going to be around. Look at how NWA came back from
would
the
be
ashes.
in how long they stay in the background. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's it.
The longer that they can't get this right and fix what they need to in the management system of Ring of Honor, the worse it is for the company as a whole going forward.
They need to do what Impact did and completely rehaul their backstage and their office.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's the best bet for them.
You don't
need to fuck. You definitely don't need to fuck with the roster. The roster is goddamn fantastic.
Yeah.
You don't need to fuck with that. No.
So this is part of the show where Pasty includes an impromptu Beefy Award.
Yeah, he does. And you know what? I'm not against it.
I'm doing it because I like the category title, and the Beefy Award is The Dreamer. And it is for the veteran wrestler who is most like Tommy Dreamer, needs to go away. I think it's great, and this year, Tommy Dreamer is the recipient of that award.
You know what? I have nothing against that. We love Tommy. Actually, no. Let me take a step back. I'm one of the few people who, from ECW days, has never been a huge fan of Tommy Dreamer. I respect the man. I respect what he did.
The best he's ever been is the third wheel in a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Him and Raven was the pinnacle of his career, and that was back in 97, 98.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of floated throughout then. Yeah, he's good. He'll never back down. He'll do everything you ask him to do. He's one of those people who doesn't have it, but won't go away.
But won't go away. Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
You know, on our hiatus, I just watched the movie The Wrestler.
Pasty, I just watched the movie The Wrestler again like 2 days ago. Because it's on, what is it on? Hulu, Netflix?
One of the two. I think it's Netflix.
I just recently rewatched it just a couple days ago. I love that movie.
It was my first time watching it. It was very depressing.
Oh, really?
Movie. But it was a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It was a depressing movie.
Mickey Rourke is amazing.
Uh-huh.
And when he punches that meat slicer?
Yep.
Oh,
We've all wanted to do that at one point in time, right?
I've never wanted to punch a meat slicer in my life. And ever since the first time I watched that movie, I can never look at that scene again. I always look away. It's fucked up. But yeah,
But I have a feeling the Dreamer Award, this is something we'll be able to use every year for a veteran who just needs to stop.
I don't think it's too difficult to do. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to shed a tear, but Hulk Hogan will probably get it one of these next couple of years because I don't think he's done. And I don't want him to be done. I want him to have another match, and then I'll still give him this
Hogan,
award.
Taker, Goldberg, triple threat. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll still give him this award after he has that match. I'm one of those guys who wants to see it, will mark out and then be like, dude, you need to go away. Yeah. Thank you for giving me that match. You need to go away.
Thank you. You proved my theory.
But talking about dreams, we all dream of doing something amazing, doing something groundbreaking, doing something that's never been done before. Pasty, we have an award for the best pay-per-view this year, as we always do, and that has to be the very first ever AEW pay-per-view Double or Nothing. How can it not be?
I don't know. This was a super solid show, and it produced the match of the year, which we'll get into a little bit later.
We're going to get into it.
Snapping to it. This was a great launching point for AEW.
This kind of told you what AEW is going to be about, which is what it should be.
Yep. And it was definitely their best pay-per-view of the year. And with AEW being a new company, you know, the excitement was in the air. We were all anticipating this for a very long time. Hands down, they deserve to have it. The only other possible competitor would be NXT TakeOver New York, but once again, your consistency is your worst enemy.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. It was an A+ show. It was probably on par with this show.
Old and busted, new freshness.
But true,
Old and
yeah,
busted,
I mean...
New freshness.
When you have...
Name that movie.
I don't know.
Men in Black, dude.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, it's Will Smith.
Men in Black 1?
Yeah. Maybe it was 2. It might have been 2.
Oh, nobody watches 2.
No, 2 was still good. 3 was bad.
Well, I believe you that 2
International
was
was the best, though.
Oh, nobody watches that either. It doesn't even have anybody from the original in it.
But it's got Thor.
Where's Rip Torn, goddammit? The thing that sold it for me out of the 2 was this is AEW's very first pay-per-view ever. And for somebody to have this solid of an outing, and they had issues. We talked about it. We discussed it. There were more technical issues than anything else, but there were issues. But to have this solid of a pay-per-view event be your very first ever produced major pay-per-view event is just crazy.
Yep. But you can't have the best without the worst, and so we have to come to the worst pay-per-view of the year, which could be a lot of them, at least in the WWE bubble.
It could be a lot of them in general, but definitely in WWE.
But we narrowed it down to the pay-per-view that was created for this year. WWE Stomping Grounds.
Oh my gosh. First of all, it's one of those where you heard it and you're like, I don't want to watch this because it sounds stupid. And then when you watch it, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it could be this stupid.
It definitely was no Great Balls of Fire.
Well, first of all, look at this. The last 2 matches.
Which did win a Best Pay-Per-View of the Year award.
Oh, and rightfully so. Nobody thought it would. Great Balls of Fire proved that you can have a one-off pay-per-view with random matches, and it can be amazing. But, Pasty, listen to the last 2 matches on this card. We had Kofi Kingston defending his WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler. 2 people, and don't get me wrong, I loved Kofi Kingston's run, But two people we don't need to hear in the WWE Championship picture, let alone I don't want to see those two fight. And then the main event was a WWE Universal title match versus Seth Rollins versus Baron